Calling this City Council work session to order. The day is Tuesday, September the 17th, 2024. Adoption of the agenda. If any council member wish to revise the agenda, the motion to add or delete an item will be entertained before the adoption of the agenda. Okay. Madam Clerk, let the record reflect that on presentations, we're going to add Hispanic Heritage Month. Also, on the consent agenda, we're going to add number 7 and number 8. Those are special permit events. And also we're going to add number 9. That's going to be the Grainger Stadium lease. And number 7 will be the Women's Health Fair and Vending Market. And number 8 will be Kingston Bike Night. And also we want to add appointment for the Eastern Carolina Council. And also we want to add closed session 143-318-11-6.
Mayor Hardy, did you say there was a 10?
No.
Or just 9 is Grainger?
Grainger Stadium lease. Anything else from the council need to be added to the agenda? If not, we're going to entertain a motion.
Motion.
Second.
The motion was made and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right. Items for discussion. Number 1, FY23 fourth quarter budget status. That's Donna Goodson.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I'm over here tonight. There's a lot to go through, so bear with me. This is the interim financial report that's going to reflect 12 months of 100% of the fiscal year 23-24 activities. It does not include our final year-end accruals. It does represent the activity from July 1, 2023 through June 30, 2024. Combining all the funds, the city received $105,460,468 in revenues and expended $99,865,492. Internal service funds have not been presented since those expenditures are captured within the individual funds. The general fund for last year derived 76% of its revenues from 3 major sources: property taxes at 44%, local government sales tax at 22%, and the state shared revenue franchise tax at 9%. The city's overall expenditures, both personnel and non-labor, show spending at an average of 91%, which is proportional to previous years. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Anything from the council? Don't look like we have any questions, Ms. Goodson.
Okay, that's fine. Just as a point of reference, the auditors were here last week and had their final field work week last week, and it was a really good, productive week. So just to let you know, we are right in the middle of finalizing our audit for last year.
All right, thank you. Discussion item number 2, ARPA funds update. That's good.
Thank you. In addition to the interim report, we also report on a quarterly basis where we are with our ARPA funding. As of June 30th, we had total obligated $6,387,015. Right now, project-to-date expenditures, we have expended $906,749. The premium pay has been paid in full. The government services, where we provide government services, we have spent $3,797,395, and then on the MOF Part F grant, we have spent $281,610, and we are on we are on task to have everything spent by the maximum due date of 2026, I'm sorry. Any questions?
Anything from the council? All right, moving right along. Discussion item number 3, consider resolution of annual settlement of property taxes collection FY 2023-24. Ms. Donna Goodson.
Thank you. The North Carolina statute requires that the city prepare an annual settlement of property taxes collected in the prior year. The purpose of this settlement is to report to the City Council the amount the Lenore County tax collector was charged to collect and the amount that has been collected on each year's tax with which the tax collector has been charged, as well as the amount remaining uncollected. The 23-24 collections reported in the settlement is 98.71%. That is a 0.42 increase in collections from the previous year of 98.29%. So attached in your memorandum is from the Lenore County Tax Collector, a report of insolvents and the annual settlement for fiscal year 23-24. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Anything from the council? All right, moving right along. Action item number 4, organization support presentations.
Mayor, before Ms. Goodson begins, I just wanted to refresh the council's memory. We each year we do the organizational support grants. The application is online. We've put this on hold. Particularly Ms. Solomon had some questions. I'm sorry she's not here. But so we set up this meeting tonight so you have your chance to learn about that grant again and what it looks like. Ms. Goodson is going to go through what determines what we can spend money on and what we can't, really for the council as a reminder, but also for the audience who might want to fill out these applications. And then she'll talk, one of the questions that came up at our last meeting was how can we do certain direct appropriations and how are others through this grant. So just keep that in mind as she's going over this.
Thank you. Yes, we were asked to bring to the council just a little fact of some information regarding the city of Kinston and how we take care of our appropriations and grants that we provide to private entities each year. Okay, there you go. As you well know, the city of Kinston gets many requests each year for public support around budget time. We get them from local nonprofit agencies, from religious organizations, corporations, loosely affiliated community groups, and even individuals. And the purposes that they have for those askings vary greatly. Some of them, they ask for specific money for specific activities. Others, they ask us to support general operations of an organization, and some of them also are asking for funding for major capital projects. So one of the biggest questions that we have is, may the city appropriate monies to these private entities? And the answer that I always love to give people is, it depends. It does depend. It really doesn't depend on the entity. It doesn't really depend on the type of entity that's asking for the funds. What it does depend on, though, is the purpose for which the funds will ultimately be spent. And what the major takeaway we have to remember is that in order to spend tax dollars, the city must first have the authority to use the funds for that purpose. And that authority comes from constitutional authority and also from general statute authority. So it's not just that we think it's a great opportunity, because like so many different things, there are wonderful, wonderful areas of opportunities all over this county that can certainly help with monetary support and stuff. It's just that we as a municipality are limited by what we can spend our funds on, and it's really based on what the general statutes and the constitutional statutes allow us to do. So we're going to go over a little bit of those. We do have constitutional authority and requirements, and these come from the actual North Carolina Constitution. Specifically, Article 5 of that Constitution, it does permit the General Assembly to authorize local governments to contract with and appropriate money to any person, association, or corporation for accomplishment of public purposes only. However, all public funds, no matter what their source, are required to be expended for the benefit of citizens or a unit generally, and not solely for the benefit of a particular person or interest. So we have to make sure that it accomplishes a public purpose. And it's not only a public purpose, but it's a public purpose that the City of Kinston has statutorily been authorized to do. There are wonderful many public services, but there are some things that we just don't have statutory authority to do.
Ms. Goodson?
Yes, ma'am.
Could
Yes,
you,
sir.
could you please give me a few examples?
I'm going to get to that.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
We also have statutory authority and requirements. The North Carolina General Statute 160A does authorize municipalities to appropriate money to any person, association, or corporation. But the appropriation, again, must be used to carry out any public purpose that the local government is authorized by law to engage in. And you also have to remember the private entity that gets the funds, that receive those public funds, are limited to expending those funds only on projects, services, or activities that the local government could have supported directly. In other words, the private entity has to more or less act as our conduit or as an agent of the city. So if we can spend the money statutorily and they provide us with a program that we would be able to do it ourselves, then we have a lot more leverage and can contract with them to provide that service. So that's a broad example, but I'm going to give you some specific ones. Just for clarification, and I thought this was interesting, there's only one mandatory city service that the city by statute has to do, and that is building code enforcement. That's the only thing mandated by the state that the city has to have. And even that, if it's a small city, they don't have to do the building code enforcement themselves. They can contract with the county. But they have to provide a mechanism for building code enforcement. Statutorily, that's the only thing a city is mandated to do. In comparison, counties are mandated to do several things, such as law enforcement, jail, medical examiner, court facilities, building code enforcement, public school support, social services, public health, mental health, deed registration, election administration, and tax assessment. So there's a lot more mandated services that the county has to do compared to the city. But the city has also been statutorily authorized to do some services. And some of these, for example, is police service, fire service, streets, electric, water and sewer, zoning, and solid waste collection. So they do give us authority to do that. We don't have to do it, but we have been given authority to do it. So those are some examples of the statutorily authorized city services. So when you look at it, what can private entities do? They can do things that could service a police activity. They could do something that service a fire activity or streets, art and culture, because we also have authorized city service to do parks and recreation. So there are some latitude, but you have to make sure that we can do it ourselves before we can give them permission to do it. As a matter of fact, General Statute 160A actually lists the things that a city can statutorily do. Now, we don't do all of these. Our muni code shows certain things that we have statutorily authorized the city to do, but the state gives many more things that we could do, such as auditoriums, coliseums, and convention centers. So if we wanted to do a convention center, the state says you can do it, but we would have to put it in our code for us to be able to do that. Public transportation, railroad corridor preservation. So there's several things that we could do that the state says it's okay for us to do it, but we also have to statutorily get ourselves permission to do it, in other words. Also, just for a point of clarification, the General Assembly has given authorizations, services and functions authorized for counties only, agricultural extension, community colleges, county home, a court system support, drainage of land, forest protection, juvenile detention homes, medical examiner and coroner, public health, public schools, register of deeds, social services, and soil and water conservation. These are only authorized for counties to do. The cities can be authorized, they have authorization, they can have a cable, television, and communication service. We can pay for cemeteries, which we do. Electric systems, gas systems, sidewalks, street lighting, streets, and traffic engineering. Those are for cities only. The county cannot have those services. So it's quite interesting, you know, when you read it, you have to go back to our authority and say, what can we do and what can't we do? Also, just to let you know, our Kinston Code of Ordinances, we have in there that we have authority to have airports, animal control, buildings and building regulations, cemeteries, elections, electricity. So we've put those in the City of Kinston Code of Ordinances themselves. A lot of things we haven't, but we do have a list of those. Also, as a point of clarity, this triangle, what this really shows you is that at the bottom, that is where our largest, broadest authority is to do local government facilities, the operations of the government, and personnel of the governmental entity of the city. And as you go up the triangle, the less authority we have. So we just have to be very careful on how we can spend our funds. The conclusions that we have is that if the city has statutory authority to finance a particular program, service, or activity, then it may give public monies to a private entity to fund that same type of program, service, or activity. The City of Kinston may not grant public monies to any private industry, including nonprofit agencies or other community or civic organizations, if the monies ultimately will be spent on a program, service, or activity that the city could not fund directly. And the city does have authority to set aside a portion of its annual operating budget for these types of programs, such as art and culture, citywide community enhancement, and economic development. An example, like you asked, the city may contract with a religious organization to fund a community festival that is open to all citizens of the city, because the city may support such an activity directly. However, the city could not appropriate funds to that same religious organization to finance the installation of a new roof on their building, because the city does not have authority to spend monies directly on this type of project. So that's one example. Another example is the operational activities of any nonprofit. We're not authorized to give them money to support their operational expenses, their insurance, their utilities. If there's a program that we could support, then we could support that program for them. Does that answer your question? Or would you like some other specific ones?
No, ma'am. I think that touches home.
One of the things you may notice that we do have what we call jointly governed organizations. And the City of Kinston does annually appropriate funds to support several of those jointly governed organizations, such as the North Carolina Eastern Municipal Power Agency and the Noose Regional Water and Sewer Authority. And a jointly governed organization is a multi-governmental arrangement. So it is made up of different municipalities, the county, the city, different cities. And what they do, they're governed by representatives from each of those government agencies that created it. So one of the examples is the Lenore County Tourism Development Authority. It is a jointly governed organization. So we have authority to appropriate funds for them, which we do through the occupancy tax. Another one that we have that most people, I think, get confused is the library. It is not a nonprofit entity that we support in the same tradition we do other nonprofit entities. It is a jointly governed organization between the city and the county. And I think we also own the building with them. So anyway, we appropriate that as organizational support in the general fund, even though it's technically not a traditional organizational support. So I think a lot of people ask the question, why can we give the library so much money and not have them do the same Same application, yes. So does that help explain that?
Anything from the council on that?
On that one? So we do have some non-legal considerations. The City of Kinston must ensure that payments to the private industries fall within the contours of the city's authority. We just have to make sure they're spending it for anything that we could spend it on. And the city should consider a number of practical and strategic considerations. How is the governing board going to choose among a number of competing requests for limited public funds? We only have a small amount of money that we can give away. So it's important for the council to have a way of dividing that funds. So we need to develop detailed policy guidelines for the request process and guidelines for the granting process. And we've done that. The city is responsible for ensuring that public funds are ultimately spent for an authorized purpose. We should provide clear guidelines and directives to the entities as to how and for what purpose the public monies may be spent. And we should require some type of accounting from the private entity that it fully performed its contract obligations. What we did in 2019 was do that. At the June 3rd, 2019 City Council meeting, members of the City Council requested that the city establish written procedures and guidelines regarding organization support grant requests to ensure that the funds are appropriated and spent for statutorily authorized public purposes per the North Carolina constitutional and statutory authority. And we were asked to establish application guidelines to systematically and equitably award the organization and support grants. In your packet, I do have a copy of the organizational support guidelines that the council approved back in 2019. And what I think that does, we have a really good way of ensuring that the monies are spent equitably and that we give them out equitably. So we do have the guidelines that the council approved in 2019, and that's what we've been going by so far. And we do have a structure for rating the organizational support so that we can equitably allocate them the funds and the amount of money we think each one should get.
Donna, for the sake of the audience who might be interested when we roll this out to fill out the application, could you run through some of the criteria? Just make sure that you can
Sure.
point those out to them.
To be eligible, the nonprofit organization had to be existed for at least 3 years. It's also has to be based or has a physical location in the city of Kinston, and it has to have a governing board of directors that meet at least quarterly. What we also show them what the ineligible expenses are, and they are capital expenditures, deficit reduction. We can't pay their loans for them. Competitions, fundraisers, pageants, or hospitality cost. On individuals, we cannot pay for their operational cost. We also ask them to provide specific information, their articles of incorporation, the current business corporation annual report from the Secretary of State if it's required, a letter demonstrating their nonprofit status, a list of their agency's boards, the budget for the specific program that the city is being requested to fund, and the annual budget as well. And the budget should clearly state if the organization is already receiving or has been approved any other funding from the city of Kinston. We also ask for their financial statement or their Form 990 and the bylaws of their agency. So we do have specific criteria, and we do tell them what the ineligible expenses are. Any other questions?
Anything?
Comments?
Anything from the council?
Ms. Goodson, next time if you could get that to the council early, because I had a hard time reading what was on the screen, or email me that presentation.
You did not get it? I'm happy to get
Okay.
you one.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
And Ms. Goodson, for the public knowledge, could you tell them how much we have in there so they'll know what they'll be?
The annual budget the annual amount of appropriations that was approved in the 24-25 budget was $50,000.
All right,
And
thank you.
and there's no guarantee that you'll be awarded if you apply. There's also no guarantee that everybody will get the same amount. It's really based on the value that each council member places when they go and rate the different organizations.
Thank you so much. Anything else from the council? All right, thank you, Ms. Goodson.
And Mayor Pro Tem, this presentation was asked for. We're on hold for the grant application pending council approval to put that out there. So when you're ready, just let us know, I assume.
All right, thank you, Madam Manager. All right. Discussion item number 5, the obligation of Community Development Building Grant Fund. Ms. Elizabeth Blount.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. In 2017, City of Kinston was awarded $750,000 under the Community Development Block Grant. During the implementation of this grant, the city was able to rehab Holloway Recreation Center, and at the time they selected 12 homes to rehab. They were also able to hire a consulting firm for grant management. But during this grant cycle, the pandemic occurred. During that time, contractors were scarce, people didn't want or workers in their home, and the city lost some key staff members. Due to the unprecedented situations with the pandemic, only 2 of the 12 homes received rehab work. In 2023, the Rural Economic Development Department, which is known as RED, from the North Carolina Department of Commerce, did a site visit concerning this grant, because normally this grant is covered in 5 years. So if we got it in 2017, it should have been closing out in 2022, and that's when they came and did a site visit on 2023. They note some findings like poor grant management and oversight from the consultant, subpar quality of work from the chosen rehabilitation contractors, and potential discrepancies with meeting the timelines outlined by the CDBG for completing the grant. After analyzing all the information and looking at the time that the 2017 funds had to be recaptured, which is by October 2024, RED determined that the City of Kinston needed to provide a letter de-obligating the remaining CDBG funds. So the city's remaining balance is $484,714.79. And that statement, the financial statement, was included in your package. The city did inquire about applying the funds to another maybe funding year or an extension of time. However, that option was not available. So let me make sure that we understand these were just obligated to the city. The city had not received those funds. We were slotted to receive them, but we never got them. So despite the obligation or de-obligation of the funds, city staff is committed to correcting the inadequate rehabilitation work done on those 2 housing units. The recommendation from RED is to conclude this grant in order for the city to adequately prepare for upcoming funding cycles. So because we have this CDBG that's kind of lingering, staff just really would like to close this out, do the work that we need to get done to those homes that were not sufficiently repaired, get that work and close out this grant so we can apply from a fresh perspective, another CDBG grant. I'd be happy to answer any questions at this time.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
For the 2 units that have to be completed, that's $80,000. So that's the only money that will be given for the project. So, my concern that the citizens probably would like to know, the grant was given in 2017, and I know the pandemic, and then there were some problems with, I really don't know who was over the project, but according to what was reported, there was discrepancy with meeting the timeline that was outlined by it. And then the persons, you had a consultant, you said something about a consultant firm, but apparently, whoever they hired, according to the document, it was not adequate, those persons who, were hired. So that caused us to not have this money, and we know, we're happy that, the Holloway Center was done, but the remaining funds really are needed in the area that it was allocated. And I'm trying to see, moving forward, how can we keep from this happening again, because that's a lot of money, $404,714.79 will have to be returned. That's a lot of money. So I'm concerned, and the citizens want to know, moving forward, what are we going to do in the future so that this will not happen again?
Excellent question. Very good question. So staff is putting in some operating procedures now to make sure that that doesn't occur again. In addition, we want to be able to handle our grants management internally. Mm-hmm. So we are hiring a community development planner, which she has started, and we're getting her on board and up to speed, so that we don't have to hire a consultant, so that we can have that direct hand-on management internally. So that's a great. And then in addition to that, we're also putting more checks and balances. If we happen to have to get a consultant, that we are not waiting until the end of the project to find out the status of things. We want bi-weekly meetings, and then actually having an electronic file sent to us on a monthly basis, instead of waiting to the end of a grant.
Great. Thank you.
Ms. Blount, I had something as well. The funds that we're going to return, and then we're going to apply for new funds, will those people that was selected earlier be the first ones to, or do we go all the way through the process once again?
That's a good question as well. We will make sure that we will contact those individuals, but we cannot promise that they will be selected. But we will make sure that they get the information. Top part is we still have some addresses. Some of them, unfortunately, have passed away since this particular grant. But yeah. And we're not even guaranteed that we're going to get awarded another funding grant. But like I said, that's what Red suggested, that we go ahead and close this. They see the need in Kinston. They don't deny that there's a need in Kinston, and they have been extremely helpful in working with us to try to close this out and get it to some type of resolution.
Thank you.
Ms. Blount, with the consulting firm that we hired or contracted with, is there any penalties or any stipulations to them, so going forward that they will be flagged as far as the process?
So I'm going to look to my attorney to help me answer that question.
They're not only flagged, but we're reaching out to make contact about claims related to this grant.
Next question, the contractor that was awarded the contract to work on the homes, are they taken off our list for future references or for them not doing the work to satisfactory?
So we're going to bring in, one of the things that Red is going to give us is technical assistance, to have a rehab specialist actually come in and look at the work. So we want to make sure that it was definitely on the error of the contractor and not some other error. So I'm not going to say we're going to blackball them right now. We have to examine the work first and make sure it's just not up to par, but we don't know why, what was the cause of it. It could have been a contractor or subcontractor. We're not sure.
Ms. Blunt, I want to add to what Councilman Swenson was saying. I was called out to one of those facilities, and myself and the mayor went out and talked to the owners of the home, and it was truly a disappointment for what we saw. And I'm not a home builder or anything of that nature, but I have associates that are, and they went out and examined that home and pointed out numerous problems. So I want to make sure that we're moving forward. We reach out to qualified people to do work.
But let me also add to this, with any type of grant, whether it was essential single family or urgent repair, it is definitely not a home makeover, okay? So there are only but so many things that the money can cover, and the money was stretched to cover. So some of the problems, I know I personally, when RED came or Rural Economic came, I personally went to the homes with them, and I was like, okay, yeah. Even if there are some things that need to be repaired, and what we're promising to repair are the things that were already on the list to bring them up to par. But there may be even other things, and we are not covering necessarily those things under this. We are making sure that the repairs that were supposed to be done the first time are up to par now.
Could you provide when in 2023 did RED come to do this site visit and we were made aware of this?
I want to say it was maybe February, March time frame.
And at that point, there was no opportunity for us to continue the program at that point, or when did they make the recommendation that we deobligate the funds?
Well, we got the findings probably about a month and a half after then, when they actually sent us the findings. We did ask for an extension. One of the problems was we were missing a lot of documentation from that consulting firm. And with the help of the attorney's office, we are just getting some of that information like last month because they went missing. And so while they did give us an extension, we were trying to get those things right. But at this point, for those particular funds for 2017, there's no way we're going to get them completed by October.
And to clarify, their request that you deobligate, that just occurred like a few weeks ago.
Right.
They were working with us and trying to get those documents, but they just said it had gone on too long, I think.
Right, exactly. And RED also wanted to do this before the Department of Commerce has to come in and do it. So it was like we're kind of making that first step in rectifying this situation and closing out this grant. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
We have $80,000 that will be allocated for the 12 houses. Is there a contingency fund if the repairs go over the $80,000?
Well, the $80,000 does cover a contingency fund.
Okay.
Because the amount, we looked at how much it cost at the time that it was done. We increased it by the amount of construction now and put a contingency on it.
Yeah. And that's just for 2 houses?
Just those 2 homes, yes.
Okay, but 2 of the 12 homes were rehabbed, so that leaves 10?
Well, some of those dropped out of the program. Some of them did not even go to the point where we could even do any type of work. So they were never worked on. It was just these 2 units that were worked on.
Okay.
And just to clarify for the audience, we did not receive the $487,000. It was just set aside in RED for us to do the additional homes. And because of the issues they found, it felt best to deobligate that fund, and we could reapply later.
Correct. And they encourage us to reapply.
Anything else, Ms. Blunt? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anything else on the council before we go to recess?
Mayor, 2 questions. One, Scott, for the bleachers out to Holloway, I think the $35,000 that we set aside. What's the status on that?
Yeah, Holloway bleachers, we're halfway through.
So one set of bleachers has been done. The other one's allocated for this year. We are on the list, so hopefully it should be, right after basketball season. So by the end of the next budget year, we should have it all totally completed.
Okay. And Madam Clerk, if you could get us an update on our travel budget for the council, where we stand at right now as far as travel. I think we asked for it one time before, but just since we're talking about budget and numbers there, I would like to get an update if possible.
I don't have with me at this point.
Yeah, that's fine. Just if you
But,
can email it to us, or
Okay.
that'd be fine.
Anything for the council? If not, then before we go to recess, I want to know if we can go into closed session before the meeting. I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session.
Motion.
Second.
Motion was made and second. All in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Oh, yeah, a personnel matter. Calling this city council meeting to order. The day is Tuesday, September the 17th, 2024. The time is 7 p.m. We'll have a prayer by Pastor William S. Hawkins, St. James Free Will Baptist Church, and we'll remain standing for the pledge of allegiance.
Let us pray. Father God, in the name of Jesus, Lord, we just want to say thank you. Thank you, O God, for keeping us all day long. Thank you, O God, for keeping us out of all hurt, harm, or danger. Now, Father, as we come into the city council business, Father, we ask that all the officers of this city be blessed and covered with your blood right now. Father, let us be able to conduct your business as you would have us to do. Father, we ask that you touch this city, Father, from Mitchell Wooten, Richard C. Green, all the way up to Waitswood and Northwest Kinston. Father, cover this city. We have problems, Father. We have crime, Father. We're asking for you to move and super move on this city in the mighty name of Jesus. We ask these blessings in Jesus' holy and precious name. And everybody said, amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. First of all, I want to say the Honorable Mayor Don Hart is not with us tonight. He had to travel out of town to a conference delegated towards hate crime. So him and a number of other mayors in Colorado at a conference. So just letting everybody know where our mayor is. We want to keep him in prayer and his family in prayer as they travel. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Swenson,
Here.
Councilmember Suggs,
Here.
Councilmember Seafor,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Hardy.
Present. All present and or accounted for. Citizen comments. If a citizen must sign in before the start of the meeting if they wish to address the city council, citizens should state their name and address before beginning their comments and may speak up to a maximum of 3 minutes. Citizens seeking assistance or asking questions will be contacted by a member of the governing body or appropriate city staff. Madam Clerk, are there any?
Yes, sir. Curtis Henderson.
Mr. Anderson?
Okay. Good evening, City Council, city officials, and public. I come to you tonight in the name of my nonprofit organization, Hope to Destiny for Youth. And I just wanted to come and give a little information on what we have going on. Hope to Destiny, about maybe a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago, we started feeding the homeless and less fortunate every Friday. We call it community lunch with the community. And we're doing it every other Friday at 611 Microwing Street. We have lunch with the community. And I also wanted to bring up that we will be having a Thanksgiving dinner for the homeless and less fortunate on Wednesday, November the 27th, the day before Thanksgiving. We're going to do it the day before. And also, this year is our third year doing the toy drive for the kids. And that will start, we will start collecting toys on November the 1st. November the 1st through the 21st, I believe it is. And you can drop anyone that wants to donate toys can drop them off at 611 North Microwing Street. And we will be passing them out the day, I think it's 2 days before Christmas. We will be passing out the toys to anyone that comes, I mean, in the county, whether they're from the county or the city. Also, I wanted to just, I missed it. I got here a little late. I wanted to find out a little bit more on the community support that we put in for back in March, but Deborah told me a little something, so I was satisfied with that. And I guess I'll just be waiting for that. Also, we will be having a shoe drive, and that's going to be 1st of January. We're going to give out tennis shoes to the kids and the less fortunate. And that will also be at 611 North Microwing Street. And that's about it.
Ms. Anderson, what was the date on the shoe drive?
The shoe drive?
Yeah.
We're going to do it January 1st of the year. We're going to try to do it the 1st, January 1st. And that will be for all the kids and the needy in our community. And we are Hope to Destiny, and our organization is about educating our kids on gun violence, gang violence, and substance abuse. Our motto over there is stop the abuse and use. And my personal motto is help me help a child. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Adoption of the agenda. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Sammy Aiken.
Oh, yeah.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Council and the citizens of Kinston and Lenoir County. My name is Sammy C. Aiken. I'm the chairperson of the Afro-American Heritage Commission of Kinston, Lenoir County Incorporated. We're a nonprofit, have been an organization since 2016. We've put on several events throughout that time. We have an oral history. People from like 70 and above, we do videos and audio tapes and let them talk about 2 or 3 hours about their life. So we're categorizing all of that so people don't have family reunions like they used to. This way, some of the children or generations later can see their relatives. We have an upcoming event this Friday and Saturday. Friday, we're having a annual community heritage celebration, Gospel Fest. It'll be held on South Queen Street at the Kinston Music Park. It's from 4:30 to 7:30. It's free to the public. One of the featured groups would be the Anointed Gospel All-Star of Kinston, North Carolina, featuring Mr. Lindsey Cutlow Parker. There will be some Misfit Steppers gospel line dancers. So if y'all get off of work Friday and want to relax a little bit, come out there and do some line dancing, gospel line dancing, you can do that. We'll be honoring Mr. Chris Suggs. He's one of our honorees for his work in the community. So you all are invited for that between 4:30 and 7:30. I think the Lord will bless us with some good weather, we're hoping. If not, we'll take it to the Art Council. The second event will be Saturday at the Art Council. It's our annual Community Heritage Celebration Funk Fest. It'll be held from 7 to 10 o'clock at the Art Council. It's $25 admission. Be heavy hors d'oeuvres. We have Mr. Dick Knight. He will be performing. Mr. Curtis Henderson will be our DJ, alias Master C. One thing we are taking out is the silent auction. We're going to have a silent auction. We do that at a later date. There's free gift bags for everybody that attend, and we're hoping for you all to see. You can buy at the door, $25 at the door. You should have a good time. Just remind everybody, this is National Registration Day on voting, so encourage the citizens to go out and register, because in the past, the attendance of registration has been kind of slow. So we'll make sure, do your civic duty as American citizens and go out and vote. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Aiken.
That's all, sir.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Before I get ahead of myself again. Adoption of the agenda. If any council member wish to revise the agenda, the motion to add or delete an item will be entertained before the adoption of the agenda. With the changes already made, are there any? I entertain a motion.
Second.
Motion made and second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Okay. Minutes. Consider approval of the minutes of the City Council meeting held on September the 3rd, 2024. Madam Clerk.
No, sir.
Entertain a motion.
Motion.
Motion made and second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carried. Presentations. Adult Accountability and Recovery Court and Family Accountability and Recovery Court. Ms. Kosinski and Ms. Haddad.
Hi, and good afternoon. Now, Ms. Haddad couldn't be here today. Judge Heath, though, is here in the audience, and I wanted, before I begin, just introduce her and thank her for being here as a support. We could not do our court without Judge Heath. My name is Colleen Kosinski, and I'm part of a team who makes up our area recovery courts here in the 9th District, which is Lenoir, Wayne, and Greene County. And Judge Heath has been here, and she's the heart behind our recovery courts. We do have a family recovery court, which works obviously with families who have substance use disorders, and an adult recovery court that works with adults with felony charges who prefer to come into our court and address their recovery issues rather than engage in incarceration. And we've been really, really successful with both those courts. But I'm here tonight to talk with you about our coalition work, which is really exciting work. Our coalition's mission is to provide education and resources to our community so that together we can save lives. Before I actually get into the meat of what we are doing, which a big part of that is providing naloxone education, I wanted to share with you our website, which is above. Our website, our website is Recovery Together ENC, and our website is one of the things is I've provided magnets to all of you, and there'll be magnets available for anyone in the audience. And if you've been down McElwain, can you hear? I'm sorry. If you've been down McElwain, there is a big, beautiful mural. There's a big, beautiful mural on McElwain, and that mural also has a QR code on it, and that QR code takes you to our website as well. What I wanted to share with you about the mural and about our website is from this website, you can find things like our community resource page. This community resource page has all kinds of wonderful resources. It's the Noose resource guide. It tells you how to find food, clothing, housing. Trillium's resource list, that's mental health resources. There's the Alcohol and Drug Council resources, which are resources for any detox, any substance use placements, if somebody needs to get into residential drug treatment. You can find all of those resources all from this one site. There's also DEA resources, and I'm going to be talking with you in just a second about some of those resources. Go back to the website, and you can go to our training resource page. And on this training resource page, there's all kinds of great resources. You'll see Sophia's story. It's a 10-minute video, and it's all about how naloxone saved a 15-year-old's life. It's a 15-year-old who was using Snapchat to order drugs off the internet. And I've included in your packet of information the emoji codes that are used by kids in the community to order drugs off the internet. When I first heard about that, it was really scary to me, but I've seen that before, and the DEA explains how that works. I have that information, again, for anybody who's interested. I have those packets available for, I've provided it to our council members, but I also have it here available for anyone here in the audience. There's information there that I find really interesting. There's also information about More Powerful NC that talks about the importance of locking up any kind of opioids or any drugs. We provide lock boxes as part of our coalition work, and they're available for free to anybody in the community. We ask that you lock up your medicines so that medicines can't be diverted and used. That could be either used in a way that they're not intended to be used. Either a really wonderful example is who's familiar with Matthew Perry, the Friends star? In his memoir, he talks about how he used to go on home tours all the time. And people would think, ooh, Matthew Perry, how cool is it that he would come to tour our house? Well, he was going on home tours so he could go through medicine cabinets and steal opioids out of the medicine cabinets because people would leave them unlocked. And he could take those opioids and then use them. And he eventually died of an opioid overdose. And so we encourage people to lock up their medicines so they can't be diverted for other purposes. We also encourage the use of doTERRA bags. These can destroy up to 45 pills at any given time, and we provide these free as well to the community. And so we're providing these as well through the coalition and have these available. And just since January, we've provided community education to over 500 people here in the 9th District, just trying to keep our community safe. And because it's about saving lives. Just today, by tomorrow morning, 130 people will have died in this country from an opioid overdose. 130 people. Just think about that. That's people's husbands and daughters and grandparents, and we need to do better. And so that's what we're trying to do as a coalition. In fact, we lose about 100,000 people a year nationwide, and since 2000, 36,000 of those have been here in North Carolina, and that's really important. 4,000 of those a year here in North Carolina are lost to opioid overdoses.
So that is why I'm here today, is to talk with you about what we can do and how we can prevent stigma, because a lot of times that's what's happening, is people are afraid to get the help they need because they're afraid of being judged. I hear it so many times that, I'm afraid to go get mental health services because I don't want people thinking I'm crazy or people thinking I'm having a problem. And that's the furthest from the truth. Getting help, getting treatment for a substance use disorder or a mental health condition is a brave thing to do. And that's why we really want our communities to pull together and support those who need support and need help. Related to opioids, most opioid emergencies occur within the home in front of a loved one. A lot of times people think opioids, well, that's just drug addicts, but it isn't. A lot of people take an opioid because of a pain condition, and they're prescribed medications, but they may take the wrong medication, they may take too much of a medication, and that may lead to an unintended death or poisoning. 91% of opioid deaths are accidental. Naloxone is marketed under many different names. I've brought with us, for example, this is Revive. This is a form of naloxone. Narcan. Everybody always thinks naloxone is Narcan, but it can be Revive, it can be Narcan, it can be Alvive. There's all types of different names, but it comes down to the medicine that can save your life if you have an opioid overdose. Naloxone can be administered to anyone, whether it is an infant or an elderly person. There are no known allergic reactions to naloxone. And it can be administered more than one time, depending on how serious the amount of opioid has gotten into the system. Opioids, for those who are maybe not familiar, are those things that address pain, so oxycodone, hydromorphone, morphine, or it could be something like heroin or fentanyl. Fentanyl is particularly dangerous and prolific within our community, and it is in a lot of the drugs that are within our community. We have had deaths as a result of marijuana laced with fentanyl. We have had folks who think they're smoking cocaine, and they are actually smoking a cocaine that is laced with fentanyl. Recently in Wayne County, we had 10 deaths related to cocaine that was laced with fentanyl. That was 10 deaths in about 10 days period of time. That's a lot of, folks to lose. And again, this is somebody's sister, mother, brother, lost. So what do you need to look for? You look for someone who will not wake up, a person who doesn't respond to loud noises, or someone who doesn't respond to hurtful stimuli, like a sternum rub. You look for someone whose breathing is slow or uneven, or even stopped. You might listen to someone whose breathing sounds like a freight train. I'll give you an example of that. My daughter works in a law firm in Goldsboro, and she called me one day and she's like, "Mom, there's somebody out in our lobby, and I swear it sounds like a freight train. It's out in the lobby." And when I told her, I said, do they have a substance use problem? And she said, well, I don't know, and I couldn't tell you if they did because they're a client. But I said, well, go out and try and wake them. And in that case, they were able to wake the person, but they kept going back into overdose. Because they were able to wake them, they were able to call 911. But in that situation, it could have been a situation where naloxone could have been administered, or again, calling 911 was a proper response. You look for somebody, and if their pupils are like pinpoint, and when you say, what do you mean by that? It literally means their pupils get very, very tiny. It's a constriction of blood. And then their fingernails or lips are turning blue or purple, or with somebody with darker skin or African American, it would be gray, because you're, again, looking at a loss of oxygen. An opioid overdose is a respiratory emergency. They're losing oxygen, and it's important that you act very fast. 3 minutes, brain damage begins to set in, and in 7 minutes, death occurs. So this is not something you want to play around with. This is not something you want to, take your time with. This is why we encourage, as part of our coalition, for everyone to carry naloxone. It's something you need to immediately respond to. So what do? If you can remember these 3 words, you can save a life, and you can be the one before 911. It's lay, spray, and stay. Those 3 words. We hand out these little opioid emergency reminders. You can post one here at the city if you'd like to, but lay, spray, stay. And now we're going to show you what that means. I have my lovely Narcan model, Mr. Victor Kosinski. And he's going to come forward. I just passed the Narcan out. It's hopefully gone around. So take the look. And you may be walking, I guess I need to do that. Sorry. You may be walking down the street. I know the police have come across somebody. I remember once at Emma Webb. You're walking down the street, you come across somebody down there. Or did you put it away? So you're walking down the street and you come across somebody and you see them. Now the first question is, well, how do you know if it's an opioid emergency? Well, you don't. But best advice these days is to treat it like it's an opioid emergency. So the first thing you do, of course, is not stand here talking, but I'm giving you an example right now. You would come to the person and say, hey. Now, I have to remember, I just had a broken hip, and a whole shoulder and others like it. Hey, are you okay? Are you okay? And he's not responding. If someone is nearby, you have them call 911. If not, as soon as you can, you call 911. You're going to get out your naloxone. Now, in your packets, and anybody who's here in the audience, I've also included information I can provide to you. It says, open your naloxone and read the directions. Well, I have pulled out the directions for you. So you aren't going to have to read the directions because you've already read the directions. Plus, the directions in this naloxone packet are so small, I don't know how anybody can read them anyway. So, but you open up your naloxone. You hold it in your hand like this, thumb on the plunger, fingers on either side. Now, what's really important is do not press that plunger until you are ready to give the naloxone. The reason being is, and especially guys, nothing personal guys, everybody wants to prime something. If you prime this, you're going to spray that naloxone because there's only 1 dose of naloxone in this plunger, okay? So you've got his head tilted back, so his airway is clear. You're going to put that in his nose. You're going to put your fingers all the way up, and you're going to press that plunger, and you're going to give that whole dose of naloxone. And then you're going to package that and push it off to the side so you know you've used that one, because you don't want to come back to that one and give it again, because back down, and so you don't want to accidentally give them a dose from one that's already been used. You're going to then roll, it's hard to do when you're holding the microphone, so you're going to have to help me, mister. So you roll them over on the side, and you put their hands under their head, and their legs side, and then you stay for 3 minutes and observe. You do want to be back some, because a person coming out of overdose, they may be very disoriented. Me as they come out and, they're, what that means is, think of the flu, and then times it times 10. And that's how really awful you feel. And this is whether you're using illegal drugs or whether you're, taking your oxycodone because you have a bad hip that your doctor prescribes for you. But, you are going to feel pretty rotten, and you just may be pretty darn grumpy. And so, you want to stay back for your safety and that person's safety. Now, after 3 minutes, if the person is still not responding, you're going to roll them back, and you're going to administer the naloxone. You're going to make sure their airway is clear again, and you're going to administer the naloxone in the other nostril. And then you're going to roll them back. Now, actually, I really should have rolled them to the side that I administered it. As long as you're rolling them to one side, it's fine. But since I did it, I rolled the other way, we're going to roll them this way this time. And you're going to keep doing that until 911 gets there. Hopefully they'll get there quickly. This is going to be another 6 minutes, 3 minutes on either side, but you're going to keep giving naloxone until help arrives. You're that one before 911. Luckily, he has responded. He may be groggy. This is your opportunity to be kind and, just say, hey, you've had an overdose, but you've come to, and you're going to be fine now, and give him a chance to come back and feel good about the situation. Be kind, be supportive, and let the person know that they're okay. All right. Let's give Victor a hand. In May, one of the folks that we work with had a relapse and was using heroin and came to us and let us know. And we trained that person in the use of naloxone. And on Mother's Day, she overdosed. And she used that naloxone. She had trained one of her roommates on how to use the naloxone, and her life was saved, just blocks from this meeting space. And I'm really grateful. She made the decision, actually after a PACE meeting that the police department has, to get into treatment, and she's now in treatment and doing beautifully. And people ask, and I've had people tell me, well, doesn't naloxone just encourage folks to use drugs? And the answer to that is no. It gives that person the opportunity to live long enough so that they can get into recovery, when they're ready. And that person may become the person who saves your life someday. And, I can't imagine a world without, that person in it. And, so it's, I'm just really grateful that she had naloxone and her life was saved, especially on Mother's Day, because I would have probably been the one who had to tell her mom that she died. And so I'm really grateful that that was not the outcome. So it's our goal someday to have a post-overdose response team. In some counties, like in Wilson, they actually send out a team every time there's an overdose, and they offer the people support and treatment resources. And it's my goal someday that we'll have a post-overdose response team. We're working on that, and I hope that we will. But in the meantime, we do have resources like a walk-in clinic at Port, where folks can go 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, and get help. We also have over at the health department, a lot of people don't realize that you can go to the health department and they have a kiosk out in front of the health department where you can get free Narcan, free COVID tests, and free fentanyl test strips so that folks can test their drugs to make sure there's no fentanyl in them. You know, 7 out of 10 drugs bought off the internet these days have fentanyl in them. And so, you know, if you have a friend who decides they need to get their Xanax off the internet because it's cheaper or whatever, they're playing Russian roulette because 7 out of 10 pills bought off the internet have fentanyl in them, and that's just deadly. Our mural, as I said, if folks are looking for resources, they can go to that mural and find resources. I brought more of our little magnets that have the resources available. But this issue is too big for just one organization. We can't do it all. We need all of us to work together. So I really encourage folks to go to our web page as well. There's a Contact Us section. If anyone wants us to come out and talk to a group, we're happy to do it. We've gone out to churches. We've gone out to civic organizations. We also do medication take-backs. The last one we did at Walmart, we got 92 pounds worth of drugs off the street. And, you know, we're doing another one at the Touch a Truck event on October 25th. We just want us all working together to make this community safe and to save lives. And we want you to join us. So thank you. I have naloxone. I have the emoji sheet. I have all kinds of information with me. And after I finish, which I'm about finished because I know I've overstayed my welcome, I'll be in the back, and I have all that information if anyone would like that. You're welcome to as much of it as you'd like. So thank you very much for having us here. And I don't know if there's anything else, Judge Heath, but thank you all so much for having us here.
Thank you very much. Thanks for that presentation. I know a lot of people got good knowledge from that example tonight. So, Judge Heath, you sure you don't want to come up and say anything?
I just thank you for that. I think it's so important. Stigma about this subject is we hear it just about every day. We need to make sure we're letting everybody know that this is a very important, real, positive, best practice thing to be involved in. I did want to point out, I hear sometimes people ask about, what about the opioid settlement funds? She just mentioned community and how we need everybody involved. The collaboration has been working together for quite some time. Back in February, we had a community meeting with about 50 people at it. It was a day-long workshop where we identified things that our community felt like we needed to talk about and address with regard to recovery and the opioid settlement funds, and in getting ready to see how, you know, those can be utilized the best in our community. We had a follow-up meeting after we got a result from that day. We have a master plan that came from that, and we now have out a survey that we're trying to get out to as many people as we can. And Colleen, I don't think that QR, I don't know if it's on the website yet. Yeah, let's get it tomorrow. There is another QR code to that survey, and we would like for everybody, as many people as possible, to go take that survey, because it's your chance to say in our community what we're interested in, what you want to see, and how you want to see opioid settlement funds and other funds related to recovery, how you want those spent. So please, please, please go find that survey and take it if you can.
All right, thank you both very much for those comments. Presentation recognition number 2 will be the National Voter Registration Day Proclamation, followed by the Hispanic Heritage Month Proclamation. I'll come down and read those. National Voter Day. Whereas the right to vote is a fundamental and cherished right of every citizen, essential to the health and variety of our democracy, and whereas September the 17th, 2024 is National Voter Registration Day, a day dedicated to encourage voters registration and participation across the United States. And whereas communities across the nation, including the right here in the city of Kingston and Lenoir County, are dedicated to ensure that every eligible citizen is registered to vote and have the opportunity to participate fully in our democratic process. And whereas local organizations such as Kingston Teens, through their Let's Vote Lenoir initiative, along with other community and statewide partners, are working tirelessly to provide nonpartisan voter education, encouragement, and empowerment to the residents of Kingston and Lenoir County. And whereas these organizations are actively celebrating National Voter Registration Day by engaging community members, registered voters, and providing critical resources and information, ensuring that all residents are informed and prepared to exercise their right to vote. And whereas Election Day for this year, general election, is Tuesday, November the 5th, 2024, and early voting begins on October the 17th, 2024, offering all eligible residents the opportunity to make their vote heard. Would everybody please stand? Now therefore, I, Antonio Hardy, Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Kingston, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim Tuesday, September the 17th, 2024, as National Voters Registration Day in Kingston. I encourage every eligible resident to observe this day by ensuring they are registered to vote, check their voter status, and make a plan to participate in the upcoming election, this 17th day of September 2024. You may be seated. Proclamation, Hispanic Heritage Month. Whereas each year, the 15th day of September to the 15th day of October, National Hispanic Heritage Month is celebrated throughout the United States. Whereas Hispanics comprise roughly of 11.4% of the population of the state of North Carolina as of July 1st, 2023, and have both an aggregate and necessary community in our state. And whereas Lenoir County's population is roughly 9.2% Hispanic as of July 1st, 2023, and whereas the city of Kingston openly welcomed the support this destination cultural diversity, and whereas we are further inspired by the economic, social, and cultural contributions of the Hispanic community within Kingston and Lenoir County. And whereas we understand that although this national recognition lasts for only 1 month each year, we work endlessly to create a more social, inclusive, and diverse society with equality for all populations. Will you please stand? Therefore, I, Antonio Hardy, Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Kingston, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim September the 15th through October the 15th, 2024, as Hispanic Heritage Month in the city of Kingston and Lenoir County, North Carolina, and extend best wishes to all of our communities as they hold appropriate ceremonies to commemorate this observance, this 17th day of September 2024. You may be seated. Action agenda. Item number 1, consider resolution of annual settlement of property tax collections, FY 2023 to 24, Ms. Donna Goodson.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. We just ask that you adopt the resolution to accept the property tax settlement report that was provided by Lenore County.
Anything from the council? Entertain a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Motion made and second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Action item number 2, consider rezoning request for 3 properties from RA8 residential and B1 general business district to O&I and hold public hearing. Ms. Elizabeth Blount.
I'm gonna ask MIS, I don't see my presentation. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. So we have a couple of rezonings for you this evening and a special use permit. First is the rezoning for 3 parcels by First Pentecostal Holiness Church. This request is for 3 parcels owned by this church. They have 711 Phillips Road, which is currently zoned RA8 residential. They want to rezone it to office and institutional. They have 711 Phillips Road, which is really a parking lot across the street, which is zoned RA8. They want to rezone it to O&I, office and institutional. And then they have a lot that has not received an address on Phillips Road, which is currently zoned B1, general business, and they want to rezone it to O&I. The 3 parcels totals approximately 3.63 acres. The church desires to install a larger LED sign. And the reason why we have the rezoning, because the City of Kinston ordinance says that LED lighting is prohibited for churches and residential districts, so the church decided to rezone their properties to office and institutional. They also have a property that is currently already zoned O&I, and if you look back here, that's this property right here. It's currently already zoned O&I, and that belongs to the church as well. This is an area of the existing property. Those are the highlighted parcels that are going to be rezoned. The surrounding zoning districts are O&I, Office and Institutional, and S.A.F.E Shopping Center to the north, B1, Business to the south and east, and RA8 and RA6 Residential to the west. The surrounding land uses are a vacant lot and shopping center to the north, church, convenience store, and medical clinics to the south, retail stores to the east, and residential dwellings to the west. The office and institutional zoning district is established in which the principal use of land is for residences, services, office, and institutional types. It also serves as a transitional buffer from business to residential. The property is located within the residential land use sector. The proposed use is in compliance with the city's comprehensive land use, which recommends uses that should not impact traffic patterns in neighboring communities and should be buffered with landscape material when adjacent to single-family uses. This is a picture of the proposed location. This is the church. There's approximately 270 feet between the wall of the church and the closest home adjacent to the church parcel. This is a picture of the proposed location, which is the parking lot across the street from the church. And this is a photo of the proposed location, where the lot that is behind Captain's Corner, and it's a vacant lot that also already belongs to the church. Including in your package is a survey of the 3 properties, and as you see, they're going to combine that parcel that is already zoned O and I with the parcel that the church is currently located on. Including in your package was a list of permitted uses and uses that require special use for the proposed zoning district. Keep in mind that any of those uses may operate in this zoning district once the rezoning is approved. The planning board recommended approval of the request and that it is consistent with the comprehensive land use plan. Staff agrees with the planning board's recommendation. The board's motion must state whether the recommended or the approval is consistent or inconsistent with the comprehensive plan, and I'll be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Anything for the council before we go into a public hearing? Anything from the council before going to a public hearing? At this time, we're now in a public hearing. Anybody want to speak in favor of? Come up. Opposition of? Anybody in favor of or opposition of? All right, sir, state your name and...
Good evening. My name is Chris Rogerson. I'm a lifelong resident of Kinston. I currently serve as a district court judge for this district. Tonight, I'm here on behalf of the church that I attend, which is the Kinston First Pentecostal Holiness Church. I have here with me my lead pastor, Pastor Brian Rogers, and our associate pastor, Mr. Jerry Banks. Our church is located at 711 Phillips Road. We have been doing a lot over the last few years to improve the aesthetic appearance of our church, both inside and outside. If you've been by our church recently, you can see that we have installed some new lighting outside to give us more visibility, also to create a safer environment, not just for our church, but for area businesses and the residents that's actually closest to us, which the young lady indicated was approximately 250 feet west of our church. We are not planning to put up a sign that's like a vape shop neon sign or anything like that, but we want to put up a sign that is visible, aesthetically pleasing to people that come through so they know not only what's going on at our church, but also this sign gives us an opportunity to promote other community activities. Our church wants to be a church that doesn't just serve inside the walls of our church. We want to reach out into the community and serve others. Our pastor says that every Sunday that we want all generations to go deeper in their relationship with Jesus Christ, and we believe in doing so we need to be visible to our community. I didn't ask them to speak because if you let a pastor start speaking, you know that long you're going to be here. I know how to keep it short, but I am respectfully asking each one of you to approve this resolution to allow us to put this sign up for not only the benefit of our church, but for our community at large. I thank each one of you for your service to this community and to the citizens of Kinston. Our lead pastor and our associate pastor would certainly answer any questions that you have. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you have, but we do respectfully ask that you approve this resolution.
Thank you very much, sir. Anything from the council? Anything from the council? All right, do we have anybody else who would like to speak in favor of or in opposition of? In favor of or opposition of? I hear none, we're out of public hearing. And I will entertain a motion.
inconsistent with the comprehensive land use. The language needs to include whether it's consistent or inconsistent with the comprehensive land use.
I'll move to approve the rezoning request because of its consistency with the comprehensive land use plan.
Motion made. Can I get a second?
Second.
Motion made and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. All right. Action item number 2. Number 3, I'm sorry. Consider rezoning request for property from RA-12 to RA-20 residential, and we're gonna hold a public hearing. Ms. Elizabeth Blount.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. This request is also for rezoning of a vacant lot on Academy Heights Road. Staff received a request from Graham King to rezone approximately 40 acres from RA-12 to RA-20. Mr. King proposes to use part of the subject parcel for a sand mining operation. Mining is allowed with a special use permit in the RA-20 zoning district. This is an area of the existing property. The property is located within our extraterritorial jurisdiction. This rezoning must be approved before the special use permit for the mining can be considered. Surrounding zoning districts are RA-20 residential to the north and RA-12 to the south, east, and west. The proposed rezoning is established so that the principal use of land is for low-density residential and agricultural purposes. The property is located within the rural land use sector. The proposed use is in compliance with the city's comprehensive land use, which recommends uses that would be appropriate in more sparsely populated areas, but would not be appropriate in the more intensely developed residential zones. This is a picture of the proposed location. Included in your package was a list of permitted uses and uses that require special use for the proposed zoning district. Once again, keep in mind that any of those uses may operate in this zoning district once the rezoning is approved. Staff is of the opinion that the rezoning is in compliance with the comprehensive plan and recommends approval. The planning board also recommended approval for this rezoning at their last meeting. I'd be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Anything? Anything for the council?
Yes, I would like to know, will the sand mining endanger the public health of the citizens in that particular area? And what will the sand mining do to well, I'm thinking about the environmental issues, and will it affect the property value of the citizens that live in that area?
So I'm gonna let the applicant answer that question for you, as they'll be able to talk more about the actual operation. Thank you, Tia.
Well, Mayor Pro Tem, before we go into the public hearing, I guess, and we get to that question, because that would be a part of the public hearing, I have a question about so we know that our land use plan is pretty outdated. Right now, the plan does define that area as rural residential, which would be an R20 zoning designation, which would allow for a mining operation with a special use permit. But it also, our land use plan, which was passed, several years ago, back in 2015, did at the time identify that Academy Heights Road, 58 North, that area, was already an overdensity or had too much density of traffic. And I could see a mining operation having some concern or causing some more concerns like that. I think that was brought up in the planning board potentially.
Well, that's for the special use permit. This is just for the rezoning part.
Okay.
So, yes.
So I guess my concern though is the rezoning to allow for R20 would allow for more industrial type uses in a rural residential area, which would also impact traffic on Academy Heights Road or 58 North, which has actually become a more dense residential area than it was at the time in 2015. There's several new developments in operation or in development out there in that area. So I do have some density concerns that I think may impact the rezoning request.
So, are you asking me a question? Just making a stop me.
Yes. So I guess I did see that the planning board had some concern around traffic. I want to know, was there any discussion from the planning board or you as, our planning director, around the potential traffic impact with that area?
So, and let me ask the attorney, do you want me to address that now or address that when we're talking about specifically the special use permit?
I think, the questions are really relevant to the range of uses that are allowed in a R20, so I would go ahead and answer it now.
Okay. So, yes, you're right. The planning board did talk about the impact of the traffic, but not knowing exactly the operation hours. I mean, the applicant did put on the permit that it was going to be from 8 to 5. We're not sure how many trucks that's going to cause to come into that area. I think the applicant could probably answer that question a little better. But as far as the use being compatible for an RA20 zoning district, it is compatible. Not sure about the traffic impact. Now we could, as the board suggests that we, do a impact analysis, a traffic impact analysis, we can look into that.
Gotcha. Yeah. And I don't want this to seem like it's about this particular operation, since keeping it at the rezoning level. Just knowing that right now, as a zone for residential would allow for, a little bit more dense residential use as it's rezoned now, whereas an R20 would cause for more sparse rural residential is what we define that type of zoning area. And the fact that, the developments that are currently, on the brink or happening out there in that area are more densely populated. They're townhomes, they're single-family homes that are on smaller lots. So those are things that have been discussed in that area. So I do have some concerns now about rezoning that to a more rural residential type of community when that doesn't seem to be the direction that our community is going, especially with also the development that is happening now at the Global Trans Park that was not happening in 2015 when we did our comprehensive land, or 2013 we did our comprehensive land use plan. There was no way we could have considered at the time that we would have that type of development in such a short amount of time.
Excellent point. Excellent.
Anything else from the council?
Well, is the gentleman going to address the environmental and property value? Oh, okay.
At this time, we're now in a public hearing. There's anybody speaking in favor of, opposition of? Anybody speak in favor of or opposition of? Yes, sir, and come up to the mic.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Graham King. We own the property on Academy Heights Road. As to the environmental part, the state will be permitting that and has all discretion about the environmental part of it. So we would have to follow their lead on everything that they addressed for that. As far as the rezoning to the RA20, we had planned to do some residential lots across the street from that, but kind of run into a little roadblock with that, so we were going to try to get it switched to this so we could use the front part of the property for patio homes or multifamily homes, and then the back part, if when you look at that map, this is at the back. The mining part would be at the back. It's approximately 600 feet away from the road, and I own the property that adjoins it, and so it's 600 feet or more to any residence that would be there, and there's woods that that block both areas on each side. And then the front part, which would be to the north, would be, where we plan to, hopefully build some residential units there for lease.
And from the council.
What are your hours of operation and how many?
Well, we put down there, the council has their discretion. They can put some type of restrictions on there if there needs to be. But as far as this, what we're looking at, this mining operation with all the activity that's going on at the airport, this would be a win-win for everybody as far as traffic. Everybody, it would be pulling right out of there and it would be going right to Felix Harvey. So it would be on the 4-lane, quickly. As far as the hours, we put down 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. And if they get in there and start digging, this wouldn't last no longer than a year.
Yeah.
And they would be gone.
And so a concern I would have for us and then potentially you, would be if we were to rezone this to be a R20, which is considered rural residential. If you do have eventual plans to put patio homes or townhomes there, which would be more dense, potentially multifamily residential, that is an undesired use now for the R20 zone. It will be allowed now as it is zoned now, but if we go R20, then that presents a density issue that wouldn't be in alignment with the city's comprehensive land use plan.
I mean, I don't know what to say. It's, I mean, it's growing in that area. That's just all there is to it. I mean, I don't know how other cities, handle this situation by just, not rezoning. But if you look at all the jobs that are coming in at the airport, I mean, that would want residential housing in that area because they're right there at the location. I mean, it's a win-win for everybody.
I'm in complete agreement with that. What I'm saying is, if we were to rezone this for the mining operation, it wouldn't allow for a more dense, construction of homes there anymore.
Well, that area is basically, most of it in the back is in a flood area anyway. Part of it is. So, I mean, this is 600 feet off of the road. I mean, this is in a wooded area. It's got a 50-foot line buffer around it in the front, and then it's, like I said, it's got woods on both sides.
What about the truck traffic? You didn't mention the types of trucks that would
They'd
be
be dump
used.
trucks in a mining operation. They'd be dump trucks, and they would come out, and like I said, they would pull out and probably hit 58 and go right to Felix Harley Parkway. So they wouldn't be on the road for that's probably 2 miles, and then they'd be on the 4 lane.
Mr. King, I want to make sure you're clear on what Councilman Suggs is saying. He's saying if you change it to AR20
right,
to do your mining, then you wouldn't be able to do the residential.
We got the property across the street to the RA20 a couple of years ago for that reason. I thought that's what that was. The RA20 is for multifamily.
Yeah, and so the RA20 isn't desired for multifamily. RA20 is desired for more sparsely spread out homes, like you would typically find out there off Academy Heights, the rural, where there's a house here, then a half a mile, 2 miles down the road, there's another house. Whereas if you're saying you would like to eventually put townhomes or patio homes there, that's more dense residential. That would be your RA5, 6, those types of those smaller, as is zone now, even RA12. But if we go to RA20, that wouldn't be desired for that type of zoning district.
Well, I thought that's what we did when we did that a couple of years ago. I thought that was unless we got something wrong when we got it rezoned the first time.
Right, so your property across the street, yes, would allow for that. If that's on RA12 or RA, whichever it was not, it's RA20. No, so yeah, so that wouldn't allow for patio homes either. It is a residential zoning, but it wouldn't allow for densely populated homes.
Okay. Well, we can redesign that part of it then.
Anything else on the council? All right, thank you, Mr. King.
Thank you.
Would there be anyone else to speak in favor of or opposition of? Anybody else speak in favor of or opposition of? All right, we'll now close hearing. Entertain a motion.
I don't particularly have a motion any way or the other. I would love to see Mr. King be able to do both his business venture and the residential program that he wants to do, eventually putting houses there. But, even as he said, it's growing rapidly out in that area. Ms. Seaforth and I both live out in that area. We see the traffic, we see the people, we see the growth that's happening in the northern part of our town now. And if we rezone this parcel too to RE20, it wouldn't allow for that type of growth. We then have to revisit this again soon whenever Mr. King or someone else in the area wants to develop something more dense out there. And if our comprehensive land use plan as it is already saying that those traffic corridors are already having significant traffic issues, and that was back in 2013, 2015, imagine now that we have more than 2,000 more jobs at the Global Transport now than we did in 2013. So that's something for the council to consider.
Ms. Blount, is it possible to table this until everybody has clarity and we have a chance to talk with Mr. King so he can go back and look and see what he had done prior to this, so we are all on the same page, and give him an opportunity to revamp his thinking process if need be before we make a move on this evening?
If that's council's desire, yes, sir. And we would just forego the next part.
Right.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm gonna entertain a motion to, table this.
Motion.
This item and the next item.
Yeah.
Right, this item and the next item.
Motion.
Second.
Motion was made and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We're gonna table this, Mr. King. Madam Clerk, let the record reflect that, also include, item number 4.
Mayor Pro Tem, technically on item number 4, it just comes off the agenda. It's not ripe, so you don't have to take any action on that.
Correct. All right, Madam Clerk, let the record reflect, we're gonna take item number 4 off the agenda. My mic on. Alright, consider approval of special permits events, church and the park assembly and festival, Pearson Park. Chief, go ahead.
Good evening. I have 4 special events to present tonight. One less than last time, so we'll get through it. This one is for October 13th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's going to be a church service at Pearson Park. They've already signed the rental agreement. It's included in this packet. No streets need to be closed. It's not a fundraising project. Again, it's a church service and a picnic. Law enforcement and EMS will be called if needed. The restrooms at the park will be utilized for this event, and the event organizer is aware that he's responsible for taking the trash away from the park. The hold harmless agreement has been signed, and the City of Kinston is listed as the insurance certificate holder.
Anything for the council? Mr. Attorney, you like to interview?
Everything's in order, Mayor Pro Tem.
All right, entertain a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Item number 6, approval of special permits events, health awareness and cookout, Deep Life Baptist Church, Grainger Stadium. Chief, go ahead.
All right, this is going to be a church event. It's going to be at Grainger Stadium. It's actually 2 dates. It's Saturday, September 28th from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturday, October 12th, 2024 from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Included in the packet are the insurance for both dates as well. The rental agreement has been signed with Parks and Recreation. No streets need to be closed. This is not a fundraising project, and it's open to the public. There'll be no alcohol at this event. The vendor is aware about the trash situation. They have to provide trash cans and take that trash away from there. And they're going to be using porta-johns for restrooms at the park that day. The hold harmless agreement has been signed, and the City of Kinston is the insurance certificate holder.
Anything from the council? Mr. Attorney. Entertain a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. All right. Item number 7, Safe Women's Health Fair and Vendor Market. Chief, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get these turned in time. I did not get these till Monday, so that's why I put copies in front of your desk area. This is for SAFE. This is a women's health fair and vendor market. It's also going to be at Pearson Park. This is for Saturday, September 21st. It'll be from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. The rental agreement with Parks and Recreation has been signed. They're looking at around 100 people floating throughout the day. This is a fundraising project, and it's open to the public. Law enforcement and EMS will be called if needed. The home harvest agreement has been signed, and the city of Kinston is listed as the insurance certificate holder. They are also aware that they're responsible for all trash, and they're going to utilize the restrooms at the park.
Anything from the council? Mr. Attorney. Entertain a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Motion made and second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Item number 8, Councilman Bike Night.
All right, this is scheduled for my birthday, actually. Thursday night, September 26th. It'll be at 220 North Harrier Street, which is the Proof. It'll be between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. The event organizer is requesting for North Harrier Street to be closed between Gordon Street and North Street during that time. There are additional routes, egress routes, where somebody can go if they're traveling north or south. They can utilize Mitchell Street. They can utilize Queen Street, so that shouldn't be too much of an issue. This is not a fundraising project. It's open to the public. Law enforcement and EMS will be called if needed. They're going to utilize the restrooms at the bar. And as far as the insurance goes, in the packet, I've included a quote. The reason being is their insurance will not be prepared and sent to me until this Thursday, which is in 2 days, because the insurance company wasn't able to send that until this cyclone or mini hurricane that we've had here the last couple of days is complete. But I have spoken with the insurance company, and the city of Kinston will be added to as the insurance certificate holder. They'll send that to me on Thursday. I'll add it to the packet. I will send it to the city manager so she's aware. Do not have any issues with this. Again, just depending on the insurance, we don't have an issue with it.
Very well. Anything from the council? Mr. Attorney. Oh, Chris.
I have a question. So the special event permit says that they do not plan to sell or serve alcohol, but there's a note saying that they will sell alcohol inside the business. Their bars. So that's understandable. We do have the social district in place that applies to the sidewalks. Does this need to indicate that they will serve alcohol if folks will be allowed to take their alcohol into the street?
So,
because if the street is going to be closed, I suspect people will be walking.
In that block off area, I think they're going to be okay. But as far as any other area outside where it's blocked off, they will not be able to take alcohol outside the area. That's my understanding.
Okay.
When you allow a special event permit that is within the social district, that special event permit trumps the social district. Otherwise, law enforcement can't tell the source of the beverages. So,
right, that was my thinking too. So what I'm saying is, do they need an alcohol permit, since this is a special event permit that's taking place within the social district, which will mean that there will be alcohol served beyond the typical boundary, which is the sidewalk. It'll be actually in the street, or people will be consuming alcohol in the street. Does that need to be indicated either on this application or within their insurance?
I would think both.
Okay. Is that currently it's not on the application. I haven't read the insurance certificate. So do they need like additional insurance coverage for the alcohol being served on the street?
Well, my recommendation is going to be that if you're inclined to approve it, that it be subject to receipt of the correct insurance certificate, because we don't have that yet.
Okay.
They will not, from my understanding, Councilman Suggs, they will not need an additional ABC permit because they're utilizing the permit within the business, and they're not selling alcohol outside the business, if that makes any sense. I did request that they not utilize glass during this event. I will not be there, but that's the request I did give.
What were you saying, Ms. Blount?
Ms. Blount, yes.
So as long as they know that they can have it in their outdoor dining area, but outside of that, they cannot, unless you, like the attorney said, they put it on their insurance that it does cover that. But as it stands right now, they would not.
Right, yeah. So that would be my concern. If we're allowing a bar to have an event, which I have no issue with the event, and them closing off the street, people are going to walk into the street with their alcoholic beverage. So I just want to make sure that they're covered, that the city is covered. So if they need some additional clarification on either the application or the insurance, we might want to recommend that they do that.
Sure, I'll meet with them tomorrow. We'll get that rectified, and I'll send that to the city manager and the attorney.
So I entertain a motion with the changes presented by Councilmember Suggs.
Sure. I'll move to approve this subject to proper certification of insurance and permit regarding the alcohol use in the social district.
Motion made, I have a second.
Second.
Motion made and second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Alright. Thank you, Chief. This time we have an appointment, Eastern Carolina Council. The city is a new member of this fiscal year, and we would like to have.
Mayor Pro Tem, I think you forgot number 9.
Oh,
added number 9.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right, getting ahead of myself again. I have number 9, Grainger Stadium lease. Mr. Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. As announced earlier today, a lease has been negotiated between the city and the Down East Bird Dogs LLC, and that is before you tonight for formal approval. It is a 3-year lease starting October 1. It has 2 3-year extension options. It is for professional baseball as an affiliate team of the Frontier League. Rent is $1 per year in the initial term, plus a share of tickets sold over 125,000 tickets a year. Additional terms are that the tenant pays $15,000 per year as utility costs, cleans up after events. The city continues to maintain the stadium as it has. The tenant will have concession rights and some naming rights as to game sponsorship. The lease provides for field and stadium naming rights to be subject to mutual agreements and a revenue share. The capital improvements part of the lease are that the city will provide a new scoreboard at a cost not to exceed $675,000, as well as kitchen equipment for the first and third base concession areas. Additional improvements, and the priority of these depends on the availability of funding, but additional improvements are painting, providing a women's shower and changing area, updates to the visitors' locker room, updating carpet, lockers, and furnishing in the home team clubhouse, removing the bleachers along the left field line and adding a shade canopy and some high top tables and a drink rail. Funding commitments have been informally received from the Tourism Development Authority at $150,000, Lenore County at $150,000, and the city at an additional $100,000. There's also an early termination fee of $75,000 per year remaining on the term. That's a high-level summary of the lease that you've been working on for the last several months. And it is before you for approval. It will have to come back again after an additional notice, statutory notice requirement, but I recommend it to you tonight.
Anytime for the council.
Mr. Attorney, as far as the women's bathroom facility, was that stated, or how long or how soon that has to be done?
All of these improvements are intended to be completed as soon as possible, preferably before the start of the 2025 season.
Anything further from the council?
Thank you, Mr. Attorney, for your hard work on this lease. We know that the council, the commission, our staff have all been working with you and in tandem with the new ownership group with Mr. McCrae, Mr. Turner and their partners, and the Frontier League. So I do just want to express some gratitude to you because I know it took us a lot of shirt pulling and fundraising and going back and forth to get us to this point. So thank you for your leadership and representing the city's interest in this.
Thank you. As someone appropriately said earlier today, it's been a real team effort.
That's right. Yep. I will move to approve the lease, Mayor Pro Tem.
Entertain the motion. Motion was made. Second. Motion made and second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Now, moving right along to our appointment. All right. Eastern Carolina Council. The city is a new member of this fiscal year, and we would like to have Councilmember Suggs represent Kinston on the board of directors. Anything from the council? Anything from the council? If not, I'm going to entertain a motion.
Second.
Motion made and second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Madam Clerk, I don't know if, no, man, as you were. Let's see, what else? Oh, city manager.
Mayor Pro Tem, Mr. Steele had to leave, couldn't be with us tonight, so I'm going to pull that All-America City Park redesign project and allow him to unveil that to you at the next meeting. The design committee has been working really hard on that, and he has some good pictures to share.
Very well. Madam Clerk, let the record reflect that we're going to remove the All-American City Park redesign project. All right. Anything else, Madam Manager? Mr. Turner?
Nothing further.
Anything from the council members?
Yeah. Mayor Pro Tem Hardy, I have two business items I'd like to bring up. One, we had previously discussed moving the city council meeting that would have taken place at the beginning of August to another date that Monday before because of National Night Out. National Night Out then got moved to October 1st. I don't think we ever made a decision about our October meeting. Do we want to move our October meeting to Monday, what would that be, Monday, September 30th, to allow for council attendance at National Night Out on the 1st? To Monday, September 30th.
Anybody have a problem with that? I'm fine with it. Ms. Swanson. Ms. Seaforth. Okay. All right, Madam Clerk, let the record reflect. We're going to have that meeting on the 30th.
Let's see. All right. The second item I want to bring up, we recently completed performance evaluations of the city, or a performance evaluation of the city clerk. Our city clerk has been with us since 2018. During her time, she has not received a merit or performance pay increase, and I'd like to move that tonight, after reviewing her evaluation in our closed session earlier, that we moved to a 5% pay increase effective starting with the next pay period. Did I say it in the motion?
Okay. Councilman Suggs made a motion to give the city clerk a 5% merit raise. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carries.
And the last item I have is not anything we need any action on, but there was a comment made earlier and it jogged my mind. I've been meaning to have this discussion with our planning director and you all. There has been a very significant increase in tobacco and vape stores in Kinston. Extremely significant increase to, people used to say we have a church on every corner in Kinston. Now we have tobacco stores on every corner in Kinston with their bright neon lights. I'm not knocking anybody's hustle. People feel however they feel about it. But I do have concerns about the density, the amount of these stores that are starting to populate in our neighborhoods, in our community. As we've discussed updating the UDO and other plans soon, I would like to, see some discussion at the council level and with our planning department on what we can do to make sure that the amount of these businesses doesn't do anything to jeopardize the economic vitality of our community, that they're safe and regulated, which is not anything necessarily in our control, but we do know that there are substantiated concerns associated with these stores, and that we're also, as us wanting to support our businesses, whether we agree with the nature of their business or not, that the density of these businesses is not harming or providing some undue or unjust competition to each other. So I did just want to bring that up tonight, that we start investigating and looking into the amount of tobacco and vape stores that are populating in our community.
Anything else from the council members? I just want to say 9/11 event at Pearson Park was a great success. A lot of time we fail to realize how blessed we are to still be here. Unfortunately, the events that occurred on 9/11, we still have those memories in our hearts and minds. So just wanted to say that, and also I met with the county commissioners on Monday at their meeting, and just try to build better relations with them moving forward, that we could all get together with the council and the county commissioners to come together and set a date where we all can meet and break bread and have conversations how we can make the city of Kinston and Lenoir County a better place to live, play, worship, and so forth. And after saying that, I would say this, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.